Today we'll solve this exam about calculate. Talk about this exam in the year 2023. Look at question number 1 with me here. Limited when x approximated to infinity, 1 plus 2 over x in parentheses or power half x equals b. The result will be equal a. Look at the steps with me here. We know limited when x approximated to infinity, about 1 plus a over x all power bx, it will be e power 8 times b. Then limited when x approximated to infinity about this function, 1 plus 2 over x all power half x, it will be e power 2 multiplication by half, it will be e power 1. The result will be E. Choose letter E about this example. Question number 2. If y equal cosec 2x, then dy over dx equal space. The result will be letter B. Look at steps with me here. We know if y equal cosec 2x, we can find derivative of this function. Derivative about cosec will be negative cosec cotan multiplication by derivative about this function here too. Then the result will be negative 2 cosec this angle to x dot cotan 2x. Okay, and we know cosec is inverse about what? Cosec inverse about sine, and the cotan is the inverse about tan. Or we can write cotan equal cosine over sine, and multiplication numerator by numerator and numerator by numerator to simplest it. Okay, you can write here y dash equal negative cosec 2x multiplication by cosine 2x over sine 2x. Then y dash equal negative 2 cosec 2x this angle multiplication by 1 over sine 2x. Okay, 1 over sine 2x multiplication by cosine 2x. Understood? We know sine 2x is inverse about cosec. We can write cosec here negative 2 cosec 2x multiplication by 1 over sine 2x, it will be cosec 2x multiplication by cosine 2x. We know cosec times cosec, it will be cosec power 2 about this angle 2x. Then y dash will be negative 2 cosec power 2 about this angle 2x multiplication by cosine 2x. Choose letter B. Question number 3. Integration of 1 over 2x plus e dx equal space plus constant. We can solve this example by find the derivative about denominator equal to, then we must multiplication by 2 numerator and divided by 2 about this function. Then you can write half outside here and multiplication by 2 here to numerator, it will be 2 over 2x plus constant here, or e is the number dx, then the numerator derivative about the numerator, then the result will be half multiplication by ln absolute value about the numerator 2x plus e plus constant. We know ln its meaning divided by the base e. We can write here half logarithm by the base e about absolute value 2x plus e plus constant. The result will be letter D. Question number 4. Integration of logarithm to the base e about this function 1 over x dx equal space. We can use integration about multiplication by two function here. We know 1 over x is meaning x power negative 1. We can write here integration of ln logarithm about the base e, it's meaning ln 1 over x dx. It will be what we can write here, ln x power negative 1 dx. Okay, we can drop the power outside here and write here negative ln of x dot dx. We can use vertical integration. Choose the function about them, derivative about function, integration about another function here. We can choose here ln of x and integration about ln of x. We'll choose derivative about ln of x equal 1 over x and choose negative 1 here, derivative about this function negative 1, it will be negative x, and then multiplication by this function ln x times negative x, it will be negative x, multiplication by ln of x, subtract by integration multiplication about two function here, x times 1 over x, it will be 1 dx, and the negative times negative equal positive. Then the result will be negative x, then x plus x here plus constant, and we can move negative 1 here outside in the top, and the result will be x multiplication by ln x power negative 1, move negative here to the power, plus x plus constant, and then we can write x outside, least common multiplication between them, x here, and write ln x power negative 1 plus 1 plus constant, and then we can write x here and write ln 1 over x plus 1 plus constant. It will be x multiplication by, replace them, write 1 here, and ln it will be logarithm 1 over x to the base e plus constant. Then we choose what? Choose letter D about this example. So in this example we used this rule, integration by practical here, choose the first function here, and we can find the derivative about this function, and choose second function here, negative 1, integration about negative 1, it will be negative x, and the multiplication between ln x by negative x, and the negative 1 times 1 over x, it will be, and negative x times 1 over x, it will be negative 1, and write negative outside, negative times negative equal positive, convert the sign here between them, and then drop here negative 1 right in the top, it's a power about x, and write x height common factor between them. Okay. Question number 5, x power 2 minus xy equal 0. We want to find the derivative about this function at point 1 and 1. We can find derivative here about x power 2, it will be 2x, subtract multiplication about two function here, write the first, the multiplication by derivative by second, plus second multiplication by derivative by x, it will be 1, the result here will be 0. At the point 1 and 1, we can find y dash here, put x equal 1, it will be 2, subtract by y dash plus 1 equal 0, then 2 equal y dash plus 1, then y dash will be 1. Choose letter B. Question number 6. With the opposite figure, represent curve of f dash of x. Then which of the following be of the curve f double dash of x? Okay, look at here, we have this function here, this function, and the curve here, and the curve here. Okay, it's drawing about f dash of x. We can draw here, it's negative a and e, negative a and e. We can find the slope about this curve here. It will be make this angle obtuse, it's meaning negative, and the curve here, right, the slope about this curve, this angle will be what? Will be acute. This angle acute about this curve, it's meaning positive. And here 0. And about the curve here, slope about this curve, it will be make with x-axis this angle obtuse. Okay, obtuse angle. Obtuse, it's meaning the sign will be negative, and slope here make angle here acute, it's meaning positive. Okay, what about negative and positive? Negative and positive. Negative, it's down, it's meaning about f double dash of x, about negative a and 0 and a here. Negative, it's down, meaning down. Positive, it's up, negative down here, and positive, it's meaning up. So negative, it's meaning down, positive up, negative down, positive up. Okay, so we can draw this function here about negative a and a. We will choose letter E about this example. Choose letter E. It will be negative here, look at here, open, because we haven't here the slope here undefined. If we can find slope about this curve about this point negative a and 0, the slope will be undefined, the slope here undefined, so it will be opened about this point, and here it opened, and about this point draw here, and it will be open here. Okay, so the result will be letter E about this example. Choose letter E. Question 7. If f of 2x equal x power e, then f dash of 2 equal space. We can find the derivative about this function, f dash of 2x, multiplication by 2, and derivative about x power e, it will be x power e subtract by 1. We must drop the power here and subtract it by 1. Okay, and he won't find the derivative about what? He won't find the derivative about 2 equal space, but in this example 2x equal 2, then x will be equal 1. Okay, in this example here we find the derivative about this function, but 2x here equal 1 and x equal 1. Then we can write here 2 multiplication by f dash of cancel 2x and write here 2 equal e multiplication by x, it will be 1, put x equal 1 here, 1 power e minus 1, 1 power e minus 1 equal 1, then the result will be equal e, then f dash of 2 multiplication by 2 equal e. So the result will be half of e divided by 2 here, 2 to cancel the coefficient here, then f dash of 2, it will be half of e. This is the result. Choose letter E. Question 8. If the slope of the normal to the curve y equal f of x at any point on 8x and y equal sec x cosec x, give us the slope here. About what? Slope of normal curve perpendicular about the curve. Okay, and the curve passes through the point y over 6 and negative 1 over 8. Then the curve intersects the y-axis at point what? We know the derivative here, he give us dy over dx power negative 1. He give us the normal. In this example, look at the curve. It is tangent here and it's perpendicular. Give us the slope about norm here. It will be what? Slope of norm equal sec x dot cosec x. It's meaning the slope, it will be the inverse about this result, and we must change the sign. Since the result will be negative 1 over slope of normal. Then dy over dx, it will be negative 1 over sec x dot cosec x. We cross, find the result. Multiplication about extremes equal the multiplication about means, or the product of extremes equal the product of means. Here we can write dy multiplication by this here and inverse them, then dy over dx equal, right cross here about this function, write the inverse here, write negative 1. Okay, we can write the inverse about, we know sec is inverse about what? It's inverse about what? Cosine. Then we can write here negative cosine x, and the inverse about cosec, it will be sine, right? Sine x. Then dy will be equal negative cosine x dot sine x dx. About this function here, cross about dx here, and we can multiplication by 2 here and divided by 2 to write the identity. We know cosine x times x, we can convert it by 2 sine x, right here, dy equal this function, right here negative sine x dot cosine x dx. Multiplication by 2 and divided by 2, we can multiplication by 2 here and divided by 2 here and write negative outside. I will multiplication by 2 and divided by 2. Then dy equal negative half multiplication of 2 sine x multiplication cosine x, it's meaning sine 2x. Okay, we used here the identity, tell us this 2 sine x multiplication cosine x, it will be sine 2x dx. And then we can write the integration from left hand side and right hand side between two functions here. The integration here about y will be y, and write negative half outside. Integration about sine 2x, it will be what? It will be negative cosine, and negative times negative, it will be positive cosine 2x divided by 2. 2 times 2 equal 4. Okay, then y equal 1 over 4 cosine 2x. Y equal 1 over 4 cosine 2x plus constant, and then we must find the constant. Now this example, he tell us this straight line, this curve passes through the point. Okay, tell us here the curve passes through the point by over 6 and negative 1 over 8. Then x equal by over 6 and y equal negative 1 over 8. Put here y equal what? y equal negative 1 over 8. Okay, because he tells us passing through this point. Put y equal negative 1 over 8 and x equal pi over 6. It's meaning 100 over 180 over 6 equals 30. It will be force cosine 2 multiplication by over 6 plus constant. Then negative 1 over 8 will equal force multiplication by cosine 2 times by over 6. 180 divided by 6 equal 30 times 2 equals 60. Cosine 60 here equal half. Okay, plus constant, and you can find the constant here. 1 over 8 subtract this number, negative 1 over 8, and the negative 1 over 8 moved here. Okay, I will complete here. Okay, negative 1 over 8, negative 1 over 8 equal constant, then constant equal negative 2 over 8, constant to equal negative 2 over 8, it will be negative 1 over 4. This is a constant. Then the equation will be what? A force cosine 2x, cancel constant here and write negative 1 over 4. Okay, then this the equation about the curve. Okay, I put here the constant equal negative 1 over 4. He tell us then the curve intersect y-axis at point what? Is the curve intersect y-axis, it's meaning x equal 0. Okay, so in this equation we must put x equal 0. Put x equal 0 here. Cosine 2 times 0, cosine 0 equal 1. Force minus force equal 0. Understood? Okay, I will complete here about this example. Look at with me. I will complete this example here. Pass the point 0 and 0. Then y will be equal force cosine. Put x equal 0 here. Passing through the point what? By saying 0 is the point by over 6 and negative 1 over 8. I put x equal by over 6 and y equal negative 1 over 8. Then the constant equal negative 1 over 4, and I want to find the point when the curve intersect y-axis at what? Put x equal 0 here. Put x equal 0 here to know the point about the curve, which the curve intersect, the curve here intersect y-axis, when intersect y-axis at what? When x equals 0. Okay, put x equals 0 in this equation. Y equal force cosine 2x plus a negative force. Put x equals 0, cosine x equal 1. Okay, 1. Force minus force equals 0, then y equals 0. Okay, then the point will be 0 and 0. Then the curve will be passing through the point 0 and 0 in this example, because he tell us the curve intersect y-axis what? When the teacher or the question want you to know the point when the curve intersect y-axis, put x equals 0. Put x equals 0 in the equation about the curve, then y equal 0. So the curve will be passing through the point 0 and 0. Okay, understood? Choose letter D. Question number 9. If integration from negative k to k, square root about k plus x dx equal 2 over 3, you want to find the k constant here. We must solve this example here. Integration about this function negative k to k plus x whole power half dx tell us 2 over 3. We can add 1 to the power and divide it by the new power, k plus x whole power c over 2. Put 1 to the power, add 1 to the power and divide it by the new power, it will be 2 over 3. It's the integration of this function from negative k and k equal 2 over 3. Here put k plus k equal 2k. then 2 over 3 multiplication by 2k power 3 over 2 subtract by negative k here, it will be 0. Okay, equal 2 over 3. We cancel them with us, then 2k power 3 over 2 equal 1 divided by 2 over 3 number by left hand side and right hand side, and we can find 2k equal what? Multiplication by 2 over 3, the inverse about the power here, then 2k equal 1 and k will be equal half. The result will be half, 1 over 2. Choose letter C about this example. Question 10. If the curve of the function y equal a multiplication e power p over x, where a and b are constant, has inflection point 1 and 1, then e times b belonging to space. Okay, look at this example, it's very important. Okay, he give us this equation, y equal e multiplication e power b over x. Its meaning e multiplication e power bx power negative 1, and passing through the point 1 and 1. When x equal 1, then y equal 1. What was this function? Okay, but 1 and 1. We can find the derivative about this function here. To find the derivative about this function, write a constant here, a multiplication between two them. It tells us in the example inflection point. Inflection point, we must find the second derivative about this function. Okay, such that 1 and 1 is inflection point, then when x equal 1, y will be equal 1. Here this example we can put x equal 1 and 1 equal here in this example. Here this equation with x equal 1 and y equal 1, then 1 equal a times e power p, a times e power p. Okay, this is the first solution. Second solution, at x equal 1, we can find here the derivative about this function. We know y equal a times e power p x power negative 1, then y dash will be write a constant here, and e power b x power negative 1. The derivative about this function, drop the power here and subtract 1 by the power. Okay, the derivative about this function, put this function here, a y here equal a times this example, then y dash write constant, and e power bx power negative 1, drop the power here outside, b x power negative 2 here. The derivative of the function, write b here and subtract by 1, drop the power and subtract by 1, drop the power here and subtract by 1 here. About this example, e power p x minus 1. Again, the derivative about the function, put e the constant here, and the derivative about the function here, e power bx power negative 1. Like this function here, write it here and derivative about the power, put bx power negative 1 in the power, and derivative here, drop the power outside and subtract by power, then the result bx power negative 2. It's the derivative about this function. You can write y dash equal the simplest form here will be negative a times p times x power negative 2 times e power bx power negative 1, and then you can find the second derivative about this function. The second derivative here, put negative ep outside coefficient between two function here. Okay, and the derivative, write the first here, x power negative 2 multiplication by derivative about this function. It will be e power bx power negative 1, the derivative about the power here, drop the power, it will be negative dot here negative px power negative 2. Okay, in this parenthesis plus write the second e power bx power negative 1 multiplication derivative by x power negative 2, drop the power here, it will be negative 2 multiplication by x power negative 3. Okay, it's y double dash, but y double dash equal 0, but this function equals 0. Add the point 1 and 1 because 1 1 is inflection point. Then in this example I will put y double dash equal 0 here, it will be equal 0, and x equal 1 here, and x equal 1, and x equal 1, x equal 1, x equal 1 here. It will be in the simplest form here. Divided by constant, it will be 0 divided by this constant, and it will be here e power p here multiplication negative p, it will be negative b multiplication e power p, and here negative 2 e power p. E power p, it's constant, we can divide it by e power p from left hand side and right hand side. We can cancel e power p here with e power p. Then negative b here, it will be what, we can move the negative b here, negative b to left hand side, then b will be equal negative 2, then b equal what, negative 2. Okay, we want to find a times b. Okay, when b equal negative 2, we can find a here about this relation. Would be equal negative 2, then 1 equal a times e power negative 2. I want to find e, then e will be the inverse about this divided by e power negative 2, then e will be e power what, e power 2. We get b equal negative 2 and e equal e power negative 2, then we can find the multiplication about them. We want to find what, a times b, a equal e power 2 multiplication by b negative 2, then ab equal negative 2 e power 2. It's the result. Understood? The result will be letter P. Then EP polling to the set of negative e multiplication e power 2. Understood? The result will be letter P. Question 11. The curve of the equation x y equal e power x has local minimum value when y equal space. Okay, he give us here x times y equal e power x, then y will be e power x over x by derivative with respect to x, then dy over dx equal, write x in the numerator power 2 and write x multiplication by derivative of the power, subtract e power x multiplication derivative by the base would be 1, then dy over dx equal, we can write e power x outside coefficient between two terms, then x minus 1 over x power 2. In this example, we want to find the local minimum value, but in this example, what put the derivative dy over dx equals 0, then 0 will be e power x multiplication x minus 1 over x power 2 cross, then e power x multiplication x minus 1 will be equal 0. E power x not equal 0, we can divide it by e power x, then x minus 1 equals 0, so x will be equal 1. And this function undefined when x equals 0. Then we can draw the straight line here to find the sign about f dash of x, because you want to find the local minimum value about 0 and 1. Okay, 0 and 1 about this function f dash of x here. This function here, put any number less than 0 here in this example, such that -1 here, it will be negative because the denominator positive, negative here, and here put half subtract by 1 or negative half, it will be negative, and greater than 1 2, it will be positive, it will be increased and decreased here. Then you want to find the local minimum value at x equal what? X equal 1. Put x equal 1 in this function here, put x equal 1, because at x equal 1 this function will be a minimum, and at x equal 1 the function is minimum. Put x in the 1 to find the image, you want to find the value of y. Then y equal what? With x equal 1 here, 1, then y equal e. 1 here and 1, then y equal e power 1, it will be e. Choose letter B. Question 12. Integration from 2 to 4 f of x equal n, and from 4 to 2 g of x equal m. Then we would find the integration about the function. First, we can replace 4 and 2 and change the sign here. We can write integration from 2 to 4 about this function g of x dx, it will be -m. Then he won't find the integration from 2 to 4 about function f of x subtract 2g of x plus 1 dx. We can distribute it, the integration all term here from 2 to 4 f of x dx subtract 2 multiplication by integration from 2 to 4 g of x plus integration from 2 to 4 this function dx here plus integration from 2 to 4 1 dx. Integration here, the result they give us in this example, but look at here left hand side here, it will be n. Subtract 2 multiplication this integration here, -m, negative times negative equal positive. Integration here, it will be x from 2 to 4, it will be n plus 2m plus 4 minus 2 equal 2. The result will be letter D. Question 13. Integration 2 cosine power 3x minus cosine x over sine x subtract 2 sine power 3x dx. We can write cosine x coefficient between numerator, it will be 2 cosine, cosine x height common factor between two term here, it will be cosine x outside, then the result will be 2 cosine power 2x minus 1, and write sine x height common factor between two term, it will be 1 subtracted 2 sine power 2x dx. We have identity here, it's equality, then we can write cosine x multiplication by cosine 2x identity, and here sine x multiplication by 1 subtract 2 sine power 2x, it will be cosine 2x, we can cancel them. Here it will be integration cosine x over sine x dx, numerator derivative about denominator, it will be ln absolute value about denominator, then the result will be letter B. Question 14. The equation of tangent to the curve y equal x plus ln cosine x at the point lie on it, and its x coordinate equal 0 is space. Okay, he give us in this example y equal x plus ln cosine x as the point lie on it when x coordinate equals 0 at x equals 0, then y will be 0 plus ln cosine 0 equal 1, then 1 equals 0, then y equal 0. Okay, then the required equation of the tangent at 0 and 0. We can find the derivative about the function. Then y dash will be equal, derivative about the function will be 1 plus ln cosine x. Ln cosine x derivative, we can write the function in numerator, and derivative it about numerator will be negative sine, right here negative sine x, plus what here equal 1 subtract sine over x. Understood? Again, derivative about the function, it will be 1, and the ln cosine x, it will be negative sine x over cosine x. Okay, we can cancel sine x over cosine x. We can write here tan x. Okay, the slope of this function, we can put this function equal 0, the derivative equal 0 when x equal what? It will be what? The derivative about this function at, we give out at the point x coordinate 0 and 0 here. When x equals 0, then y equals 0, then the point equals 0 and 0. We can find the derivative here about the function, put x equals 0, 1 subtract tan 0, then y dash will be equal 1. We get the slope here equal 1. Then the equation of the tangent to the curve at the point 0 and 0, we can find the equation y subtract by 1 over x subtract x minus 1, it will be equal the slope here equal 1. Okay, we can find the equation of a straight line. Y minus 0 equal y minus 0 over x minus 0, it will be equal 1, then y over x will be equal 1, then y will be equal x. Understood? Again, in this example, I find the derivative about this function at the point 0 and 0, because when x equals 0, then y equals 0. I want to find the derivative, and the derivative of this function about 0 and 0, then the slope will be 1. We can find the equation about tangent of the curve, y minus y1 over x minus x1 equal slope, then y minus 0 over x minus 0 equal 1, then y over x equal 1, so y will be equal x. Choose letter E. Question 15. In the opposite figure, a circle, its center is the original point and its radius 5 cm. Then the curve or the volume of the solid. We want to find the volume of the solid generated by volvo, the shaded region point here around the x-axis. Okay, look at here. We have the circle here, and the radius was about this circle radius was 5 cm. We want to find the area about this volume, or the volume. We want to find the volume about this part, about this shaded part. Required we're around about x-axis, and this equation here y equal 3. He give us this example y equal 3. Okay, first we must find the point where they are intersected at y. Put y equal 3 in the equation about the circle. We can find the equation about the circle here. We know x power 2 plus y power 2 equal r power 2, because the center about this circle is original point 0 and 0. In the equation about the circle, it will be x power 2 plus y power 2 equal r power 2, then x power 2 plus y power 2 equal 25. Put y equal 3 in this equation to find the intersection point between them. The intersection at what? X and y. We know y equal 3, but we don't know x equal what. Then we must know in this equation, put y equal 3, then x power 2 plus 3 power 2 equal 9 equal 25, then x power 2 equal 16, then x will be equal positive or negative 4. The intersection and this point moving here by x-axis and x by right hand side 4 here, and up vertical here will be 3. Then the point here will be 4 and 3. Then the circle and the straight line intersection in the point 4 and 3, so we can find the integration from 0 to 4. Okay, this means 4. Then we can find the volume here, right, by multiplication from 0 to 4 about up subtract by down. As a curve up here, it's the equation about the circle. Here we can write y power 2 equal 25 subtract x power 2. Here 25 subtract x power 2 subtract by the equation about the straight line up. Look at here, up subtract equation about this down. This down here, y equals 3. Okay, then 3 power 2 equal 9 dx. We can find the integration volume equal by integration from 0 to 4. 25 minus 9 equals 16. 16 minus x power 2 dx. And then we can find the result. Result would be here, put 1 to the power and divided by use the power, or you can use a calculator to find the result. It's very easy for you. Okay, it will be 16x subtract x power 3 over 3 from 0 to 4. Put 4 here. 16 times 4 subtract 4 power 3 divided by 3 subtract by 0, multiplication by pi. Then the volume will be 128 over 3 multiplication by pi. Okay, the result will be letter D. Question 16. A metallic sphere of radius r surrounded by chin represent its shape if the root of change its volume with respect to the time at moment equal 8r. Then the rate of choosing in its surface area with respect to the time at the same moment equal space. Okay, he give us in this example the derivative about what? The volume equal 8r. The derivative about the volume here equal 8r. We know the volume equal 4 over 3 by r power 3. It's the volume. And they give us the derivative about the volume about the time equal 8r. Then we can find the derivative about this function. Derivative about the volume equal 4 over 3 by multiplication here 3r power 2 dr over dt. Okay, we can cancel here and write 8r. 8r equal 4 over 3. We can cancel 3 by 3. Okay, to simplest it and write by here and write the radius, cancel 1 here by here, it will be 8. Okay, cancel divided by right here 8r. Okay, divided r by r power 2, it will be r here. Understood? And the result here will be 4 times pi here multiplication dr power 2, multiplication by 4 here 4 pi times r dr over dt. We can divide it by 4, then 2 equal pi times r dr over dt. Then, understood or not? I write the volume here and write the derivative about the volume here and equality between two relation. Derivative right here, the derivative equal 8r and divided by r here and here. We know it was r power 2 divided by r here, it will be r, and cancel 3 by 3 and 8 divided by 4 equal 2 here. And then we can find the r over dt equal 2 over by times r. We want to find the derivative to respect to the time by the area. We know the area about sphere area equal 4 by r power 2. Okay, then the derivative about the area, the derivative about the area here, dA over dt, it will be 8 by r dr over dt. Right here, put dr over dt here, cancel this and write 8 by r multiplication 2 over by r, cancel by r with by r, then 2 times 8 equals 16. The result will be 16 square centimeter per second. the result will be 16. 2 times 8 equals 16. Question 17. If the straight line y equal mx minus a is tangent the curve x bar 3 plus y bar 2 equal 5 as the point 1 m, then m equal. What's the meaning of tangent of the curve? It's meaning the curve here and this point 1 and 1. The slope about the curve equals the slope of a straight line at the point 1 and 2. So we can find the first derivative about this function y equal mx subtracted a to find the slope here equal m. Okay, it's coefficient of x and a equal constant, then y dash equal m. Okay, y dash equal m. And the equation about the curve x bar 3 plus y bar 2 equal 5. We can find the derivative of the function. It will be 3x bar 2 plus 2y y dash equal 5 and y dash equal m. We can cancel this and write m at the point 1 and 2. Put x equal 1 here. It will be 3 times 2 times 2 equal 4 and write y dash equal m equal 5. 5 minus 3 equal 2. Sorry, derivative about 5 here equal 0. Then 4m will be equal negative 3. Then m equal negative 3 over 4. The result will be letter A, because we get in this example the derivative about this function. Derivative here, the derivative about this function here by derivative by x. Okay, then m will be negative 3 over 4. Question 18. If f of x equal 1 over x e power absolute value of x, then the local maximum value of the function equal space. We can replace it by this function by definition. Write 1 over x e power x when x greater than 0, and 1 over x e power negative x when x less than 0. Put x equal positive or negative when x greater than 0 and less than 0. And then f dash of x will be here the derivative of this function. We can write the first multiplication by second here plus the second derivative by the first. It's meaning x power negative 1. We can write here x power negative 1 and here x power negative 1. The derivative here draws the power. It will be negative x power negative 2. Okay. And the derivative about this function, write the first here x power 1 negative 1 multiplication the derivative of this function. It will be negative e power negative x times the negative outside here plus the second here multiplication derivative about the first. It will be negative x power negative 2. Okay, it's f dash of x. But f dash of x equals 0 about this example. It will be about the first here f dash of x equals 0, then 1 over x e power x plus e power x multiplication negative x power negative 2 equals 0. And you can simplify it divided by e power x, because e power x not equal 0 here. Then 1 over x subtract 1 over x power 2 will be equal 0. The multiplication by x power 2 I divided here by e power x, because e power x not equal 0. We can divide it by e power x about them. Okay, and then multiplication by x power 2, then x minus 1 equals 0, then x will be equal 1. And here about the second equation here, I will write it here and find f dash about this function equals 0. Okay, write with me here about this function here, negative 1 over x e power negative x subtract e power negative x x power negative 2. It will be equal 0. Put this function equal 0 and this function equal 0. It will be x power equal 1 here about the first, and second we can divide it by e power negative x, because it will be not equal 0. Then negative 1 over x subtract 1 over x power 2, it will be equal 0. Multiplication by x power 2, it will be negative x subtract by what? We multiplication by, again, derivative, it will be negative 3, because the derivative of this function drops the power and subtract by 1 from it. it will be here multiplication by x power 2, okay, and then x undefined, the function undefined when x equal 0, okay, multiplication by x power 2, then x negative x equal 1, then x will be equal negative 1, and the function undefined when x equals 0, because any number divided by 0 undefined. Okay, so we have 1 and negative 1 and 0. Then the next step, we must draw the straight line about this function. Okay, I will draw here a straight line right here, negative 1 and 0 and 1, to know where the maximum about f dash of x. Here, look at this function. When x here greater than 0 and here x less than 0, here about this function, put here left hand side any number less than negative in this function, the result will get you positive, and less between 0 and negative 1 negative half, but x equal negative half about this function, the result will be what? Will be negative. And here when x greater than 0, put x equal half in this function, the result will be negative. Put a number greater than 1 here in this function, the result will be positive. So it will be decreased, see here, increased and decreased, decreased, increased. Then negative 1, it's maximum, and 1 minimum. You want to find what? Maximum at x equal negative 1. Then at x equal negative 1, we can find what? The image about this function, x equal negative 1, put x equal negative 1 in the function. Where function? Function here, in this example here, 1 over x, multiplication e power 1 over x, okay? Understood? So I get here, in this example, I get what? I get x equal negative 1. X equal negative 1, it's maximum. We want to find the image, but at the function. We know in this example he gave us the function f of x equal 1 over x e power absolute value of x. Put x equal negative 1 here, then f of negative 1 equal negative 1 multiplication by e power 1. Then the result will be negative e. The result will be negative e because he asked about maximum. If the teacher asked you about minimum, put x equal 1 is this function, the result will be e only. But look at this word maximum. Maximum where x equal negative 1. Okay, put x equal negative 1 in the function to find the image. The result will be letter C. Question 19, finds absolute value or absolute minimum value for the function. Okay, where x belonging to the interval 0 and 9. We have this function f of x equal cubic root about x minus 8 all power 2 plus 1. Then f of x equal x minus 8 all power 2 over 3 plus 1. Then we can find the derivative of this function. Here we can drop the power. Okay, here 3 over 2, so 3 over 2, 2 over 3 multiplication by the function. Okay, drop the power here and write x minus 8, subtract 1 from 2 over 3 minus 1, it will be negative 1 over 3. Derivative plus about plus 1, it will be 0, and then put f dash of x equals 0 about this function. Then 2 over 3 multiplication x minus 8 all power negative 1 over 3 equals 0, and divided by the constant here. Then x minus 8 will be equal 0 here, and x will be equal 8. Then x equal 8 is the critical point. Here we have the critical point at x equal 8, and 8 belonging to the interval 0 and 9. Then we can find f of 0 and f of 9 and f of 8 because it's critical point here. Understood? To find the minimum value, f of 0, put 0 in this function, it will be 1 here, cubic root put x equals 0 here, 0 minus 8, 8 power 2, 64, cubic root 4, 4 plus 1, 5. 9 minus 1, 8 equal 1, 1 plus 1 equal 2, put 8, it will be 0 plus 1 equal 1. So the minimum value here at x equal 8. At x equal, then the absolute minimum value equal 1 when x equal 8. You can write here, then the absolute value, equal 1 at x equal 8. In the opposite figure, you give us the function here, the curve at here 3, f of x equal e power x minus 1. You want to find the area by this part. He give us the result equal area equal e power 3 minus 4. Find the value of a. We can find the area by this function from 0 to 3, up subtract by down. This function here, e power x minus 1, subtract the equation here, y equals 0 dx. He give us the area equal e power 3 minus 4. Integration here, it will be e power x subtract by x. Integration was the function from 0 to 3. Then e power 3 minus 4 equal, put 3 here and put 0. It will be e power 3 subtract by 3, subtract, put 0 here, e power 0 equal 1 minus 0. Then e power 3 minus 4 equal e power 3 minus 4. You can cancel them. Then e power 3 equal e power 3. Then e will be equal e. Choose letter. What the result will be equal e. A equal e. The result will be what the constant here equal e. Thank you, my students. In the next video, I will explain the exam of dynamic in the future. Okay, goodbye.